let's move on to the 5 takeaways, where we're going to take a look at the Manchester United game and see what 5 things we can take away from the game. Starting off with number 1, and that is Timo's debut.
Yeah, and I thought it was a promising debut from Timo Werner. Obviously, didn't get on the score sheet, did get himself an assist. It was the first time we saw him in a Spurs shirt. The one thing I would say I was a bit disappointed at is maybe off the ball. I expected a bit more from him in terms of his high pressing ability and ability to make a nuisance of himself. He didn't get any tackles or anything like that, and won 0 of 6 ground duels. So definitely something to work on for Timo. But in terms of going forward, obviously got an assist, had 5 shots on the day, 3 shots off target, and 2 of them were blocked. Was causing problems when he found himself on that left-hand side, and when he was one-on-one with the defender, and they didn't seem totally comfortable at any moment. So I thought he looked good, but definitely a lot to improve on for Timo.
Yeah. I think I do like Timo. I just felt like his finishing just played into a narrative yesterday of what we knew about him before the game from his time at Chelsea. And I back Ange to really find, maybe not the amount of goals that he scored at Leipzig the first time round, but I back Ange to find a use for him in the system. And I think that he is a good fit for the system with his pace, with his running in behind. And with one game, you can't really judge him on one game, his first game of football in so many months, not getting anywhere near enough football at Leipzig this year.
No creative players.
No creative, so many different elements that you can talk about why Timo Werner wouldn't have played well yesterday. But I don't think he had the worst game in the world. I don't think he had the best game in the world. I think it was a competent display, to be honest. Got an assist for the second goal. But you do feel that if Son was playing in that position, we would have won the game.
But I also feel there's more to come with Timo.
100%.
There's more. 100%. I think he can offer a lot more.
100%. I completely agree with that. And I think the best is yet to come for Timo. But from a starting point, I don't think it was too bad yesterday for Timo. So I'm excited to see what's going to come with him. But let's move on to the second takeaway, and that is Bentancur in the 8.
Yeah, and that's the first time we've seen him under Ange in that 8 kind of position, because he's usually played in the 6 since he's come back from injury, and it was really encouraging. I felt throughout the game. Not only was he good on the ball, obviously he got himself a really good goal, that late run in the penalty area. And you got to remember last season, he scored how many goals? He scored 5 goals, 6 goals, and got 4 assists. So he showed his ability to help with the goal contributions, and he showed yesterday. That was his first goal of the season, but he has that ability to do that. So I think him in the 8 can definitely be a position he uses going forward. But also, if you look at his heat map, we don't have a graphic of it, but if you look at his heat map, he very much was helping cover for Pedro Porro as well during that game, and that allowed Pedro Porro to show the best of his creativity, which is I think Pedro had a good game. So I think Rodrigo, I want to see more of him in this position. I want to see more of him getting in those attacking positions where he's able to get on the score sheet and get in the box as well. And that was really, really promising.
Yeah, I thought Bentancur put in a proper top display yesterday in a time where we desperately needed him. Clawed us back into the game right at the start with the brilliant finish. Great work defensively, like you said, covering for Pedro Porro. But I thought he did some good covering for Mickey van der Ven yesterday as well, in times when Mickey kind of was left a bit wanting, with a bit of rust creeping into his game after so long out. And he was controlling the game, especially in that second half from that centre of the park. So great to see Bentancur back, because, in the first couple of games, he wasn't like the Bentancur that we've seen probably earlier on in, when before the injuries and stuff. And even in that game against Aston Villa in that first half before he got that injury, he was absolutely sublime. And I think yesterday was getting back to those levels. So big up to Rodrigo Bentancur. Let's move on to number 3, and that is never say die.
Yeah, and again, yesterday, it was a big away game where we've gone behind twice in the game and able to show our character and fight our way back into it. And especially as well, given the fact that it was a game where we know we're lacking creative players and players to pick a lock and create chances for us. The worst thing you want to do is fall behind in these games, because you know that if you at least if you keep it level, you find a set piece or something, you can go and win the game. But we fell behind twice in this game, and we were able to fight back. And this shows a bit of a narrative in big away games this season. Arsenal away, we went behind twice and came back and earned a draw. Man City away, we went behind twice in that game as well and battled back to earn a 3-3 draw. And again, Old Trafford, a very important game, fall behind twice under difficult circumstances. Apparently, as Andrew was saying as well, apparently a few of the players, even on the pitch, were hit by illness. I think Skip, Udogie as well, saying was under the weather. Obviously, Kulusevski missed out because he was ill. So under all those circumstances, with a lack of creative options on the pitch, to find solutions to battle our way back in the game and never give up was so impressive, and it shows our character, and it just shows that never say die attitude.
Yeah, and I love it that Ange just doesn't make any excuses for anything. If we drop points or anything, there's never an excuse. And I think more times than most managers, there has been excuses, to be honest, this season, why we haven't won games. Yesterday was a key point in that. A lot of the run after the Chelsea game, when we dropped the points, there was a key reason why we didn't win those games, and that was because of injuries. But he never goes back to that. He never kind of uses those excuses. Maybe if Jose Mourinho was our manager right now, he would most definitely would be using those excuses. So I love to see that from Ange Postecoglou. I love to see this never say die attitude. And no matter who we have injured, he sticks to his guns. He plays the way he wants to play, and we're reaping the benefits for it. So big up to Ange, big up to the never say die attitude, and big up to the players as well, because I think they're all buying into the methods, and it's great to watch. It really is. But let's move on to the fourth takeaway, and that is phenomenal Pedro Porro.
Yeah, and he again showed both sides of his game yesterday about how effective he is and how much of an unbelievable right back he is. We seem to be talking about him, every week, but it's no surprise when he's putting in performances like that. Like if you're talking about his attacking stats, he had 5 key passes on the day, more than anyone else on the pitch. Obviously, got his assist. 2 out of 2 dribbles completed. Had 1 shot on target as well. Completed 4 of his 7 long passes and 5 of his 20 crosses. But if you're looking at defensively as well, 3 interceptions, 4 tackles, 3 clearances, 1 block shot, and won 7 of his 12 ground duels as well. So I think it also goes to show how effective he is when it comes to defensively. Even though he did have his struggles early on, once he settled in the game and we found our way and started to control the game, defensively he started to be really effective. And offensively, we all know how effective he can be. And again, the stats bear that out with 5 key passes, how many chances he's creating. And his heat map as well is, it's really interesting to look at if you get a chance. He's like literally the majority of it is in the Man United half, like a midfielder. So I was wondering this as well. Is there any part of you that if we yesterday, there was one part of me that was feeling, with our lack of creativity, why not put Emerson at right back and put Porro midfield? Could that have worked?
Yeah, there's definitely a case for it. We are utilising his creativity at right back, inverting into that central midfield role anyway. But maybe if you get him on that right side of midfield and have Emerson at right back, you can utilise it even more. There's definitely a big case for it, 100%. And maybe it's something that we should look at if these injuries keep plaguing us. But when you're looking at it, Maddison's nearly back. That time has probably been and gone if we were going to use it, to be honest.
I was thinking during the game,
you're talking about yesterday specifically?
Specifically during the game, because we had that lack of creativity in the midfield. Maybe put Porro there.
Yeah, it would have been. It probably would have won us the game if we did that. To be honest,
just put Emerson there. He can just be solid at right back, just be defensive, handle Rashford, and just allow Porro to use his best skill set.
Do you reckon there's a case that he could maybe morph into a centre mid later on in his career, like maybe Trent is kind of doing?
Potentially, I think there's a good case. I'm impressed that he's really adapting well defensively, and he is really doing well on that facet, and he's improving. So this isn't to say he's bad at that. I don't think it's his. So obviously, I don't think it's his main attribute. His best attributes are his ball playing ability, his passing, his vision. And maybe that can be better utilised in midfield. I don't know. That's something to think about. I've been so impressed with how he's been able to adapt, because you think about back to last season when he was wing back. I never thought he would be able to have that. He would be this kind of player who has kind of I don't know how to describe maybe the patience in the centre. Because last season, right, he was just 100 miles an hour down that right wing. I'm getting to the byline kind of player, right? I thought that was the kind of player he was, but he's shown he's the kind of player who can have that control midfield, can pass or move, play 1-2s, have the vision, be patient with his passing as well. So maybe that to me, that shows elements that maybe he can develop into a midfield player potentially like Trent.
It feels like we bought him as a wing back, right? Under Conte, we bought him as a wing back where he was playing the majority of his football for Lisbon last season and the previous seasons. And he's never played right back in full back, and he's never played an inverted role before. But it seems as though this is the best role for him. It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And I think we're really getting the best out of him because we're unlocking what I thought last season was his best attribute was his crossing, but now 100% is passing.
Agreed. And 7 assists this season so far, the most of a defender out of everyone in Europe. And you're talking about the high quality of defenders they have in Europe: Trent Alexander-Arnold and Theo Hernandez and all these kind of people. He's mixing it with the best.
Definitely, and he's well up there with his quality. I really believe that.
And let's move on to the fifth and final takeaway, and that is in touching distance.
Yeah, so despite not getting the win, we are still in touching distance and definitely that top 4 fight. In terms of the top of the league, we are now 5 points behind first, but they do have a game in hand. So all rests on basically how Liverpool, I think, played Bournemouth, how they get on in that game. We did move level on points of Arsenal, actually, yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah.
But they have a game in hand against Crystal Palace at home. But the big thing
Which is no given the way they're going at the moment.
Yeah, it's definitely true. Obviously, the big thing, Villa dropping points as well. So thankfully...
It's a missed opportunity.
It was a missed opportunity to maybe go level on points with them or 1 point behind them, I think it would have been, if we would have won.
Yeah, we're 3 points behind them.
1 point behind them. So, bit of a missed opportunity, but they had, obviously, Everton away, we had United away. I think there's a point there, but it just keeps us in there in the fight. But what's really crucial, you look at the table and the gap maybe, I know it's only a point, but we're now 11 points away from Newcastle. We're
Newcastle in 10th.
Yeah, in 10th. They're really struggling at the moment. I think, again, Man United, we're, 8 points away from them now. West Ham, to be fair, they're only 6 points with a game in hand now, so I don't know who they play, but they really do have an opportunity to close that gap. But it is between us and that top 4, we're well in that fight, and just keeps us in touching distance there in terms of the table.
West Ham got Sheffield United away, but they're missing Kudus, they're missing
the fun free Bowen potentially.
Bowen, I think, will probably be back, but they could be missing him. They're missing Paquetá for a long time, so I'm not sure I'm not worried about West Ham, to be honest. But look, that is our fifth and final takeaway. Let us know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding the takeaways. If you have any others that we haven't spoken about, put them in the comment section below.